Hello, my name is AHill, and right now I'm going to talk to you about Yersinia pestis, the pathogen that causes the plague. There have been three major epidemics of the plague in human history. The first was in the Middle East around the 4th to 6th century, where 25% of the population was killed. And the second was around the 6th to 14th century, where the infamous Black Death killed 30 million people. And the third and most recent was in 1855 in southern China. Now, southern China is where Yersinia pestis was discovered by two scientists at the same time. The first was Shibasaburo Kitasato, who was looking for the antigen that was causing the plague. And he discovered it around the same time as Swiss bacteriologist Alexandre-Emile Jean Yersin, who was in Hong Kong doing the same thing. Now, Yersin is the one that Yersinia pestis is named after. Now, if we look at this gram staining photo I got off of Google Images, you can see that Yersinia pestis is gram-negative, rod-shaped, or Cocobacillus, of the Enterobacteriaceae family. It's a facilitated anaerobic, so it can survive with or without oxygen, and grows best at temperatures of 35 to 37 degrees Celsius, or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this bacteria is found in small rodents like squirrels, prairie dogs, and rats, which makes an outbreak of the plague so hard to control because not only do you have to contain the infected humans and the infected rats, but also the fleas that are feeding on these infected rats. Because humans contract the plague through flea bites. A flea's bite temperature is only 25 degrees Celsius, so the bacteria can't grow in their stomach, and they're basically just carriers waiting to regurgitate it out into our ideal 98.6 bodies. Now, 2 to 6 days after being bitten from an infected flea, you would develop flu-like symptoms, high fever, muscle aches, fatigue, and at 24 hours after that, you would begin to notice, depending on where you were bitten, red, swollen lymph node glands called buboes around your neck, armpit, or groin. And buboes is what the bubonic plague is named after. They swell up to the size of an egg, and they're very tender and hot, and it's where the bacteria hides from our immune system. Yersinia pestis attacks our lymphatic system. It sort of produces two antigens, F1 and PW, which are anti-phagocytic, so they mask infected host cells from our immune system and repress our immune system. And eventually gangrene will set in from bubonic plague, and left untreated, 50 to 75% of cases will end in death. The rest evolve into septicemic plague, which is when it leaks into the bloodstream. 2 to 5 days after being infected with septicemic plague, you'd begin to notice vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain, which follows with abnormal bleeding under the skin, which causes a scattering of bruises and bleeding from your eyes, your nose, and your mouth, and your rectum, which changes your blood pressure, which can lead to stroke and death. Over 100% of untreated septicemic cases end in death. It's a very deadly disease. And you don't have to get it by having bubonic plague first. You could have like a cut on your body that Yersinia pestis can get in through that way. And so if you get it that way, it's hard to diagnose with doctors because they don't really know what it is until you start bleeding from your eyes, and by then it's kind of too late. Now, the third plague and final plague is the pneumonic plague. And that's when Yersinia pestis seeps into your lungs. And within 2 to 3 days of infection, you'll begin to develop a severe cough with bloody septum. And this cough is what makes pneumonic plague contagious. Unlike the other two, where you have to be injected with the plague to get it, pneumonic plague is in your lungs. So when you're coughing, you're expelling water droplets that are infected with that pathogen that other people can then breathe in and get it. And this sort of makes it a candidate for a bioterrorism weapon because it's an aerosol basically. And within 24 hours of being infected with pneumonic plague, if it's left untreated, can kill you. The plague is a very serious disease, but it can be treated with strong antibiotics, the most common one being streptomycin, which they will feed through intravenously, and then quarantine you off so they prevent an outbreak. Now, unlike smallpox and polio, the plague can't be eradicated from the world with, medicine because of those rat and flea populations I mentioned earlier. But it has been severely weakened. Even though it's prevalent in third world countries like India, Brazil, or Madagascar, there hasn't been a severe outbreak of the plague since 1994. And it's still prevalent in the U.S. as well, in those southwestern states like New Mexico, Arizona, or Nevada, where there's at least 10 to 15 cases a year, where 10% of those cases end in death, even with treatment. So, to avoid the plague, notice your flea bites if you have any. Don't play with wild rodents or dead animals, and sort of avoid areas where, those things may be very common. That's all I have to say about Yersinia pestis. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and have a good day.